there. Oops.
Okay.
All right, hey guys, we're getting ready to do a live enlightened conversation. I'm gonna put the way to see my guest Daniel because we're on YouTube and Facebook, so you can search for Noel Strain there, or if you happen to be on Twitch or D Live or Periscope, you can search for Noel Strain there as well. You'll be able to see me and hear my guest out of the speaker, but if you want to see us both, tune into one of those platforms. I'm going to put the link right here and pin that so you guys can see that. Hello, hello. Happy Monday to you guys. Hope you guys had a beautiful weekend. 1 second. Live Enlightened Conversations on YouTube.
Is that a
Facebook.
page also? I wonder if I can find it, if I can tag it.
You're on you mean on Instagram? Or what?
On Facebook.
Yeah, it will be on the page. I'm going to share it onto my fan page. Right now, it's just sitting on my personal page, and I'm going to go on Facebook in 1 second and share it onto my fan page.
Yep.
Oops. All right, 1 second. Search Noel Strain.
What's your logo? I wonder if I'm seeing it right now. Enlightening. Is it Enlightening Conversations or?
Oh, it should show me and you on there. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if it's there.
No, you're good. I see you and I, but I was gonna tag your page. I'll just tag you personally.
Here, I'm gonna share it on my other page. Sometimes people will search my name and share. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. Okay, it's not showing us. Here, let me switch that. The privacy is for friends. Now it's public. Share to page. All right, cool.
Technology, man, is just like
right. Twitch.
Okay, cool. Yep. I see it. It's live. It's live on mine as well.
Cool. All right. Now, how do I pin this? Pin. Perfect. All right, we're good. All right, 1 second. We'll just prop this up over here.
Yeah. Hope you guys are ready. We're about to build something.
This is gonna be fun.
I love it.
All right, streaming this in as many places as I can stream it.
Streaming live to Fox News, CNN.
Right.
They'll get it on the back end.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're ready.
Let's do it.
Hit record on here. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today's episode and to introduce you guys to today's guest. And one of the few times that I've had a guest on that I've actually met in the past and actually connected with before. And we connected in such a cool way. We were actually on a Abraham cruise that was out in Australia and Fiji and some other awesome places. So needless to say, that was a very high vibe event. And My first time I met Daniel or saw Daniel, he was flying people doing acro yoga, and everybody was waiting for their turn because he was like so skilled at it, and he was teaching people how to do that and just enjoying ourselves. We definitely had a great
Mm-hmm.
time, and now I've been able to stay in touch with him and reconnect here. He's out in Iowa right now, and just an awesome high vibe human, and I knew that we would have a fun conversation and be able to share that with you guys, and I'm excited to do that now. So if you guys have any questions, if you're watching this live, you can put questions in. We'll check it at the end, and if we can answer anything or you're inspired to share anything that you want us to touch on, please do so. So without further ado for me, I want to introduce you guys to Daniel Ramon, who is in Iowa, and yeah, just excited for you to share with the audience your love and light, and appreciate you for coming on and hanging out with us today. So if you could share with the audience,
Absolutely.
yeah, so they can know you, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Noel, for having me on. I appreciate it. Is it pronounced Noel or
Noel, but I hear it both ways because
no?
everybody it's no.
Oh, okay, cool. I hit it. Yeah. Yeah. The names are funny because it's like when you're in front of each other, it's like you're barely like using it. But yeah, again, like I said, I'm Daniel Ramon. I'm in the thick of the snow right now in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Just soaking it all up, soaking up this beauty. And so yeah, we met on an Abraham Hicks cruise. Obviously, I've been for those of you who don't know Abraham Hicks, law of attraction, I've been into that since probably like 2008, 2009. So it's been a long journey of just deep introspection and wanting to get to know oneself in a more intimate way. And so that's just the life I live, and I also extend that same um, modality to other humans. I love to relate to other humans and understand who I am through my reflections. And so yeah, we're gonna have a great conversation. I think Noel is gonna maybe ask me a few questions, and we'll dive deep. Hopefully, you guys, whoever's watching out there, if you guys actually have questions, make sure to send those in, and we'll see if we can touch on the things that people may want to hear more about. And yeah, that's yeah.
Love it, brother. So what I'm inspired to ask you, right?
I lost your audio. Hold on. I think
Oh,
you
oh, my fault,
is it still mute?
no, my fault.
Yeah, I think you're muted,
I
brother.
muted myself. My fault. I'll do that just so that it's
Yeah,
perfect audio quality when you're speaking. When I'm not saying nothing, I'm mute myself. But
got it.
I'm inspired to ask you because I know one of my favorite parts of life, and just from observing how not only you interacted when we met over in Fiji or wherever we were, and then at the same time how you share on social media. I know that human connection and knowing that we are all connected is very important to you. And for me, I'm quick to tell people that that's my favorite part of life is human connection, knowing that all of us, as human beings, have the capability of feeling loving, happy, joyful, blissful, and also depressed, powerless, fearful, anxious, and everything in between. And it's all part of the
Yeah.
human experience, and it's all good. That helps me have compassion when if someone's not experiencing life how they would probably like to experience it, right now in the moment. I'm not judging them. I can have compassion because I know, who's to say I couldn't be there tomorrow or I wasn't there yesterday. So,
Yeah.
what does a human connection, mean to you?
Yeah, human connection is finding the simple things that allow us to relate to another. And if we distill things down to their simplest version, we realize that we're more similar than we are different. We all experience a lot of the same emotions in our own individual ways, yet we've lived unique experiences that have created different patterns of emotion. So even though we all experience emotions, uh, which I feel is the best way to see ourselves as emotional beings, then we can also then relate to other people as emotional beings, or just emotion is also energy and motion. And so uh, emotions are one of those things that, in some ways keep us alive, that they allow us to know that we're experiencing something that is what you would call real. And so I think if we can understand ourselves through our emotions, which of course Abraham Hicks is always talking about the power of emotions and the emotional scale. If we can understand ourselves through that journey, then we're more readily able to see other people through that lens and not judge because we know how we've also experienced certain feelings, certain thoughts, certain things within our body, certain perceptions, whether depression, anything that we felt. If we allow ourselves to go there, then we can more readily see those around us as also having a human experience, and that's what I feel leads to those deeper connections.
I love that. I love that. And that's obvious with how you share. Definitely, you guys, if you're not connected with Daniel on Facebook or are you on IG too? We're not connected on IG. If so, I want to
Yeah,
connect with you.
yeah. On IG, it's the.daniel.channel. So the Daniel channel, the.daniel.channel.
You guys will have easily once this comes out later this week, the podcast. You guys will have easy links to all of Daniel's stuff. But no, I'm excited to be talking with you now because it always like it doesn't take me more than a couple of seconds. Even when I haven't met someone, when I'm on their page and I can tell that someone is sharing from a place of just allowing not only allowing the world of the people that are interacting or attracted to what you're sharing to be vulnerable and you to share what's going on in your world, which I've definitely noticed you do that. And at the same time, from a place of, it can uplift and inspire, the people that are watching. And that's awesome. Like I can always notice when that's the intention and that's the vibe when someone is sharing on social media. For everybody out there, you never know, if you share something that it could uplift and inspire one person. Today being Monday, there's not everybody's excited for Monday. Not everybody's excited to be doing what they're doing today. So, if you're inspired to share something and it's uplifting to you, and you're like, I want to share this. Don't even second guess that. Like my advice is do it because you could uplift, one person, and that person can go now and smile at a coworker who just needed that smile more than anything, and you could
Yeah.
change the ripple effect for us here as human beings is awesome.
Yeah.
So
and that brings up a beautiful point because we talked about connection, and connection is I feel driven by how we relate to each other. And so if we know that we are already relatives, right, we're already relative to one another, and that the relativity is that we're experiencing is based on what we share, right? So if I share something that is happening in my life, whether it's something that's that doesn't feel good or something that is on the opposite polarity, I'm creating a connection point so that someone may be able to relate to me in that way, and that I feel is what allows us to understand that like if I'm feeling a certain way one day, let's say someone else feels that way, but they're not willing to share it, right? And if I put it out there and share it, all of a sudden they can relate to that. And they immediately feel a sense of empowerment because they don't feel alone. They feel, oh wow, like this person who I have the perception of never going through a hard time is having a hard time. Wow, it makes us, it brings that humanness and that relativity down to a level where people can see themselves through us, in us, by us, sharing who we are at whatever level. I don't feel, I never feel like I have to be at the height of life, and often I don't share from that place. But I don't feel like you have to be at the height of life to share your experience and to uplift those around you. Sometimes it's just about another person being able to see themselves in how we be in that moment. Uh,
absolutely,
so
absolutely, I love that. And it's a great reminder for all of us that every life experience, even the ones that we would consider the most challenging in the moment, probably going to be challenging. That's why they called challenging challenging experiences. However, those life experiences are what has caused us all right now to have the the clarity in life to know the things that, we desire, the things that we want to move towards, and some things that we're like, ooh, I really don't want to experience, too much more of that. And so, being able to share, some of these vulnerable experiences, if that's what you're inspired to share, especially from a place of this is my newfound clarity, which I think it's an awesome way to share versus, I don't know necessarily if the world also wants to, like, if you're down and like powerless or depressed or frustrated, I'm not telling you not to share. I'm just saying that, if you're inspired to share the what the challenge is, to be able to see it just for yourself first, as from the perspective of, yeah, this has been a challenging experience. And at the same time, now I know this about life and the direction that I want to go. And that could be very inspiring for someone. And they could actually pull and feed from the clarity that you have. What I love, I forget who said it, but, even though life experience is the best teacher for us all, we don't have to always learn from our own life experience. We can learn from, that's why I'm so grateful for the books that have been written before us and the YouTube videos that people put out and podcasts like these, where, we can pull clarity from other people's experiences and not have to necessarily go through all the trauma ourselves. It's not always necessary.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I call that the lone wolf or the island syndrome. Feeling like we're on these islands, and in some ways, obviously, I'm having my own personal experience. You're having your own personal experience, but there's these threads, these invisible threads that really do connect us and connect our experiences that uh, potentially may not leave us feeling as isolated or alone in some of those moments of where we're unclear and we're experiencing maybe some, I call it like depression. I also look at it as like deep rest. You might be in a deep rest in that time, and so sometimes we're in those slumbers. It's hard to maybe see ourselves in what other people are sharing. So just telling, I feel like story is, well, this gets back to really storytelling. Telling our stories. And every story, there's actually formulas to stories, and then those stories become scripts, and those scripts become movies. So the things that we've read and watched, we don't experience those things as like a monotone sequence of events. There are waves of experience that people or characters are going through. We are no different than that. We are no different. We are experiencing life in absolute waves, and sometimes it's just nice to ride that wave with other people, to know that you're not the only person on the big wave and the wave looks like it's coming, crashing. That, sometimes it's nice to just know that you've got other people, swimming and surfing next to you, riding this thing out,
Absolutely, absolutely. I made it a point, Daniel, the last, because I wasn't doing this as much before a couple of years ago, because I used to be, really heavily involved in a business where I was taught, just share only share the positive stuff that's going on. Look like, you're the leader that always has everything together. Like, that's just what I was taught. And, I think there's some part of that which I liked, as far as I don't want to be sharing anything that's going to bring someone else down. Like, you're not going to ever see me like complaining on social media or anything like that, because I don't want to bring the vibe of someone reading or watching my stuff down. Like, if you're going to read or watch my stuff, like, I want it to raise your frequency. That's what I'm thinking about before I even post. It's my intention for posting it. And at the same time, just the last few years, I've made sure to let people know, just personally, that I'm human just like the rest, and I'm able to feel anxious and worried sometimes. Also, the difference, though, and I'm so thankful for becoming aware of who and what we truly are, and being aware of things like our energy and things like momentum, where I can catch myself having thoughts. If I have an anxious or critical thought, or a judgmental thought, or anything of this nature, I'm not letting it go for minutes, hours, days, longer, which, in the past, that could have been a blind spot. In fact, I used to be really critical of myself and others sometimes, and I was never the type where I was out saying anything mean to people or anything like that, like strangers, like that. That's never been my vibe. At the same time, though, it didn't matter as far as what it was doing to my energy. If I was being critical of myself or others, it was still negatively affecting my energy in the moment. And so to be able to be aware of that and to take it from being a blind spot to now into the light, I can catch it where I don't have to have, long periods of time of negative momentum that just feels worse and worse and worse to where now I do need the rest. Because I've been there for sure. I like how you call it depression deep rest, where it's like the best logical thing to do is like just rest, like call it a day. Like I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll feel better, and physically, that's all I can do.
Yep.
so, so that's cool too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I look at like deep rest or depression. If we can even tweak the word a little bit more, I love words. I love language. Depression, if you like push up the button, you're depressing that button. So sometimes we might just be pressed or removed a little bit from this outward layer of living life. And that's okay too. That's a beautiful place to watch and witness and observe yourself and the things that are happening around you. So I would say that the idea of depression shouldn't be looked at in a necessarily only a negative light. It should be also looked at through a lens of what is that? How does that, like, if I'm in depression or if I'm depressed or I'm in deep rest? What does that give me? How does that allow me to uh, observe my world in a way that I wouldn't if I was exerting a lot of energy. Depression or deep rest might also be a way to revitalize ourselves and to fill ourselves up and to not actually expend energy to find ways to fill our cups. And then once you learn that you're not a cup, that you're a conduit, that you're actually a channel, that then that flow of energy starts to come in, and then of course there will need to be a reciprocation. So as energy comes in, then it must flow out. Sometimes even the overwhelmment that people feel is because they feel like they're cups, they feel like they're finite, and because we're infinite, which really means that we're energetic, and energy is always moving in and around us and through us. And so if I'm a cup or if I'm a container, then I'm trying to hold all that stuff. I'm trying to hold my life together, right? I'm trying to hold steady, right? Think of all the things in our language where we talk about holding. But in actuality, I want to flow, right? So I want to remove the bottom of that container, and I want to allow whatever's coming in to have a place to go. And I don't want to actually be the holder of all of those things. I don't even want to hold on to memories that long, because again, those things influence our energy and our vibration. And so the conduit or the container with the removed bottom really allows us to sense and to feel what's there and know that we don't have to carry it. We don't have to hold on to it. And that in and of itself like creates that lightness. It creates that, and then you realize, the breath is actually helping me to cycle that. The breath is actually helping me to my body to realize that, one, it might be holding tension, right? So I need to pay attention to how my body's feeling. The breath, as we breathe into different parts of our body, releases that tension, and then all of a sudden our energy is moving in a different way. And so we tap into the body, we tap into the thoughts, just by understanding that you don't have. I don't hold on to anything. I don't hold on to judgment. I don't hold. I don't hold on to people's perceptions. I don't hold on to the judgment of myself. I don't hold on to my anger. If I'm feeling angry, right? So we talk about emotions. If I'm feeling a sense of like frustration, anger, anxiety, then I find a way to let it flow. Just like when I think, Noel, you saw the ice bath that I did the other day.
I didn't see that one, but explain. I don't know.
Oh, you didn't do that one? Okay, yeah. So just I was feeling that anxiousness, and I knew that it wasn't for me to hold on to, and I know the mechanisms of how to breathe and how to put the body in certain conditions, that when the conditions change, often the things that we're feeling will also shift. So my condition that I wanted to shift was to put my body in a couple bags of ice in the tub, and right away when when my body touched the cold water, I was not able to even process the thoughts or energy that or the anxiousness that I was feeling before, because all of my focus went towards the fact that I was sitting in this cold water. And so we can use the cold water as a tool of simply focus. Now, of course, it has some, you know, physical and biological uh, uh, effects on our systems. But if we even like take it at the most superficial level, when your body feels that ice water, your attention goes completely to that, you know, and then of course accessing the breath to be able to sit in that ice bath for about I think I sat in there for about 5 minutes, and it just allows, you know, whatever's there to be witnessed and to be flowed out of us in a productive way.
You just said so many things that inspire me that I'm gonna I'm gonna comment on a
Unpack it,
few different things.
unpack it,
I'm gonna
yeah,
unpack a few things. But the last thing you were just sharing, I didn't see that post, but we used to have to, and it's interesting how you described the ice bath because, of course, you have the therapeutic benefits, but I never thought of it in the taking your focus on to, you have no choice but to focus on that. It definitely catches your attention if you've got other stuff going. We used to sit in an ice bath for sports. I was a baseball player, and after I had shoulder surgery, that was part of my like daily routine. They had me do it a few times a day as part of the recovery process. But yeah, like any pain that I was having, like immediately you go to just your full presence in the cold, so you're not thinking about the pain when you're in there. It's completely new focus.
yeah. You said it perfectly. Full
Yep.
presence awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you inspired me to share with the audience when you were talking about, love how you described that, instead of being a cup or a container, just being an open conduit for energy. It's so amazing because every single one of us, this is who we are. And first of all, rewind and listen to that. If you guys are listening to this as the podcast is out, you can't rewind if you're on live right now, but rewind and listen to everything that he just said just there, because he said some very powerful things. That was a very powerful full segment. Likely will be part of the preview clip when I'm previewing this podcast, Daniel.
yeah,
But what he said something there that really inspired me, because this is who all of us truly are. And when we, say we're thinking about something that does have us anxious, and I love how, the ice bath is a tool to switch focus. We can also, there's so many different things and different tools that we can do. And the point of it is just to be able to raise our frequency to where we can at least be back at, ease or peace or content, just being, just getting out of that frustration or anxiousness or worry or fear just allows our frequency to raise. And what that does, it allows us to be that full conduit for the energy to where now we can receive the inspired thought or idea that could be like, ooh, I didn't think of it. That, and it could be a worry. We could be having a worry about relationship. We could be having a worry about our health, financially, whatever it is. And when we're in the worry, we're not able to receive the inspired ideas that could now be like, oh, that's a good idea. I want to move forward, towards this. And now instead of being worried, now I'm actually excited, optimistic, that this is actually working out for me, which it always is for all of
yeah,
us. We can't see it
yeah,
when we're in those places where we're, suppressing our emotions and we're not feeling, so good. So I love how you describe that, because that's all of us, and my benchmark,
yeah,
I know I can feel when I'm, at least at peace. And when I'm there, I know I'm in a really good spot to allow my momentum to carry me up to, there's no limit to it. You've mentioned it a few times in the episode, and it's a truth for all of us. We're unlimited. Even though we have words, infinite, we have words like, bliss, euphoria, ecstasy, nirvana to describe really high, frequencies in the English language. We can feel even better than
yeah,
that if we
yeah,
allow
yeah,
ourselves to,
exactly.
to go there. And then the momentum will carry us there. We don't have to like try to do it, but if we can allow ourselves to be at peace and content, momentum can carry. We can have good ideas. We can have awesome synchronicities, meet people that will suggest something to you that was the question that you were asking the universe on: how could I have this relationship, or how could I have this health, or how could I have the financials? And it could come in so many different ways. Like we don't even have to think about how it's going to come. So there's so many different ways these days. I'm taking a shower the other day, and then all of a sudden a YouTube video pops on. Then I'm like, who is this person? Like, this is awesome. Like, now I'm listening to a meditation by them, and it's just like I didn't even know they existed on the planet before YouTube just decided, you
Who
know.
was it? Who was it?
So I was watching. It was a Marissa. It's happened a few times in the last few days, but you know Marissa Peer, the lady that says "I am enough." Like she has like um, she's a psychotherapist, and her big thing is like the simplicity of just affirming "I am enough." To like she's helped some people with some big time, you know, depression and some things that they were going through just by having them write, you know, on their mirrors and all over the place, "I am enough," and just putting that into their mind. And she was just doing a whole like live talk, and I was like, "Who is this person?" Her accent caught me, like UK accent. I was like, "This human is awesome." But it's happened so many times. A Wayne Dyer, "I am"
Yep.
meditation came on a couple weeks ago. A Bob Proctor abundance meditation that I've been doing the last few nights. That's freaking awesome. It starts with like birds chirping in the background, and he's like, "I want you to listen to my voice right now and think about how abundant
Yeah.
this world is, the abundance of trees and grass." And like, dang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can come in so many different ways for all of us, and that's why for me, I enjoy being aware of my present moment, you know, energy, because really that's what we have control over the most, and not like
Yeah.
needing to go from, you know, anxious or worried to bliss in 1 second. Like I'm not trying to like make, you know, crazy leaps and bounds. I mean, I mean, everything's possible. That's just not as likely
Exactly.
to go from there. But I know that I can, you know, allow myself to get there just if I could just be at peace, which just feels better than, you know, feeling worried or stressed or, you know, angry or whatever it is anyway. But that's okay too. I'm just aware of it. So that's why when I'm sharing things on social media, I'm doing it from a place of if I was feeling, you know, anxious, worried, you know, today or yesterday or whatever, I've been aware of it, and my number one priority in life is to allow myself to get back to peace, which allows me to get back to love and get back
Yeah.
to the feelings that I like to experience life in, which is, you know, today's the only moment. Right now is the only moment promised. Today's the only day promised to any of us. So I just choose to live
Yeah.
as many moments of today feeling good as humanly possible.
Let's break it down for him too, because I like what you're saying, especially when we arrive at peace, right? So, what is peace? I would say peace can also be looked at as contentment. Peace can be looked at as that stillness. Peace can be looked at as imagine a person in the ocean that is swimming versus a person in the ocean that's floating, right? That person in the ocean is that's floating is more similar to what peace may feel like, which is an effortlessness, right? So we're not extending we're not expending any effort to arrive we might be expending some effort to arrive at it, but to stay there, we're not expending a lot of energy um, uh, to remain there essentially. So imagine that, if I'm feeling on the other side of the emotional scale, I'm feeling sadness, grief, right? And then imagine that peace is in the middle. So let's even do a seesaw. So peace or stillness is in the middle, and then let's say exhilaration and joy and these emotions are over here. What I've strived for is finding that central point while still being able to access the feeling of either one of these, right? So what it allows for me to do is if there are waves of emotion, whether it's like, yo, this is the best moment of my life, or this is I'm in a deep dark place. I've learned to judge it from a place of stillness, right? If I'm judging it from a place of if I'm sad and I'm judging the sadness from a place of sadness, then that's just adding to the momentum, and it we feel the weight of that. If I'm in a place of exhilaration and I'm judging my life from the place of exhilaration, like I always want life to be like this, right? We can feel the weight of that. I feel the balance point is that peace, is that stillness, where we can still extend ourselves into these other ways of being without having to maintain the energy of either point of reference. I don't want to have to maintain the energy of just being exhilarated all the time. I don't want to have to maintain the energy of being in a place of deep rest all the time. I want to expend the least amount of energy that I can to stay in balance and still recognize when there are thoughts and feelings that are on either end of the spectrum. And that for me is really powerful because I know that if I want to exert, then I can exert from a place of stillness, which is just a really powerful, uh, I feel like base or jumping off point. It requires no energy to really balance out either polarity.
I love that description. That's a beautiful description, and I totally agree. And we wouldn't even appreciate the exhilaration as much as we do if that was like what was if we were there all the time. Like we wouldn't appreciate it nearly as much when we are there. And also, there's many days that I could think of because we all know the things in life that up to this point we can experience that has allowed us to feel that exhilaration. Whatever those things are, we all have different favorite parts of life. And there's plenty of days where even though I know that's my favorite part of life, I just want to rest. I just want to chill. Like I don't want to experience that type of energy right now for whatever reason. Maybe I've already been experiencing some things. I've already given lots of mental energy or physical energy, and I just want to be at that peace, that stillness point. I like how you just described being able to reach on either side. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful illustration. I see that vividly, and yeah, I mean it's just always I'm always okay with being peaceful, content, just chilling.
Yeah, exactly. It's something to. I feel like that is maybe something to place a little more emphasis on in our lives versus either side of the coin, right? So just that center point, and imagine this, right? So the I go sometimes I watch like martial arts movies or documentaries and stuff like that, and I watch these guys as they're doing like qigong, tai chi. They're literally in a place of no exertion. They're moving very slowly, right? If any of you guys don't know what that looks like, look up qigong meditations. And when they're in a place of stillness and with very slight movement, we're then able to perceive the subtle energies around us. The subtle energies are what actually run the show, right? Not these big obvious things, not the things that we place most of our focus or attention on. Our lives are usually run by these things that bubble up, these subtleties that often people say, yeah, what's the word, like sideswiped, or I got blindsided. I got blindsided by this thing. And it's like if we're listening to the subtleties, then there's no way that we would ever get blindsided because we can always feel the incremental increase of everything. Whether it's the incremental increase of I'm not feeling great today, or wow, I'm sorry, I should put on do not disturb.
Oh.
While I'm feeling, better and better and better. Those are all like breadcrumb trails in the subtlety of it all. So I feel in my life, noticing those subtleties is has given me more focused awareness on how I'm feeling than any deeper low or a high or high. Because I feel like we can also get trapped in that, when people now I will say like my friends, they post everything. They post when there's fires in Australia and how it's making them feel, and what can we do to help remedy. They go into a place of they take their sadness, but they add some proactive energy to it. So I feel that no matter how you're feeling is okay, but if we can return to that, you know, think of it as like an infinity symbol, right? So that infinity symbol is almost like as we cycle in and out of these different parts of ourselves, these different polarities, these different emotions. but there's always that center point that is the balance to both of those. So we can be swinging way over here, be swinging way over here. But if we can meet that center point, was that like a Vesica Pisces? If we can reach that center point, then we can really feel both sides. We can feel the momentum and the potential of both sides, and potentially use both sides to to create direction. I, I use anger for my benefit. I use anxiety to my benefit. Those things are not to my detriment because I learned to look at them as fuel that I'm not using yet. Right. So that emotion is just fuel that hasn't been or momentum that hasn't been placed in a direction that I've noticed as feeling good. So if I'm feeling depressed, if I just look at it as like a static thing, yeah, you know, it might be and it might feel like that. But if I look at that as, this is a baseline or a jumping off point or a starting point for what's to come next. And I know where that central point is. I'm not really even concerned about the joy, right? Yeah, like that exists. But when I'm in this place, I can't even see it or access it. So if I'm in that place of deep rest, I'm more focused on arriving at that center point in that stillness, in that place where I'm noticing the subtleties. I'm even noticing, oh, that's why I'm feeling this way. Oh, yeah, this reminds me of when I was 6 years old. Those are the subtleties that we can access from that stillness about even the stories behind those really potent emotions. And imagine how much fuel and reconciliation we get when we start to look back on those things that we could have been stuck in, but we arrived at stillness, looked back at it through a place of awareness, a place of stillness, and then had more understanding about it than when we were there.
I love that. You've just inspired me to share something with the audience, Daniel, that will definitely help when it comes to these subtleties and just being able to recognize where you are, because you're so right. Like what runs the show is what you shared are these subtleties. It's not necessarily the real strong, powerful, because you're not walking around blissed out all day, and you're not walking around, powerless and depressed all day, even though you might have moments of both. And that's also something you said earlier that I was inspired to just remind. I always like to remind anyone that is listening the labels of, like, I never will allow someone to label themselves around me either on either end of the spectrum. Like, oh, I'm a happy person sometimes, I'm a depressed person sometimes. Like, there's no, because it's always in the moment. Like everything, when you're trying to label frequencies and energy, you can only be something right here and now. Like what you were yesterday, what you maybe tomorrow is not relevant. Like we are a state of being right here, right now. So I was inspired to share that earlier, because I noticed so much, like this day and age, like people are, being prescribed different medications because they're depressed or they have anxiety sometimes.
Exactly.
like we all, yeah. So now we can, as we get older and older, and we think on average 70,000 thoughts per day, we can create habits of thoughts and neural pathways to where you may be having anxious thoughts or thoughts that don't feel so good on a regular basis. The key is really to be aware of it, and we can actually start to rewire that. We can go that way in the conversation, but you inspired me to share something else that I want to make sure that I share, as far as the subtleties and how that really is what's showing up and reflecting in our lives, because we spend so much time in these frequencies where they can easily be blind spots and we can not even notice like what's going on. What gives me peace and what makes it very much easier for all of us to be aware of it and to use it to our benefit versus our detriment is energy never stays stagnant, because we're always thinking thoughts. And so momentum is real. So if you ever observe yourself, and maybe you can catch it in the thought form. If you don't catch it in the thought form, listen to what you're speaking. Because if you start speaking out words that you're like, ooh, I didn't like saying that. Like that wasn't something that I want to stand behind. Like I didn't like the way that came out. That's just a nice indicator of where your vibration, where your frequency is right now in the moment. And if you don't catch it and you allow it to keep going that way, you keep letting the thoughts go and the words go, momentum will carry you to now you're taking actions from that frequency. And now your results are showing up in life and you're attracting things back to you from that frequency. And it's just really great to be aware of that, so that because it can go as far as you let it go. Like there's no limit to how, that's where rage comes in.
Yeah.
And it never surprises me when something happens to, people out in the world that we were like, oh man, that's terrible that happened to them. you know
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that it happened, because at some point leading up to that, there was some really, strong, powerful frequencies. Call it rage, call it anger, call it, whatever it is. So if you are out there, I'm not saying that anger is right or wrong. It is what it is. But just know that in the moments of you expressing it, however you choose to express it, we are vulnerable to things that, like, someone that both of us know and love. And I don't have her permission to share her name or her story, so I'm not. But it popped into
Okay.
my mind because we were doing a podcast, but it was working out for her good, and I know she would, because she's aware of what's going on. So I know she would express the same thing. There's been things that she's been able to do that she now, because she had to like take a step back, because as she was expressing some anger, she decided to strike something in a healthy way, but didn't know that that was going to break her hand. And as a result, she's had to like be calm down for a little bit, and not do some of the things that I know she's used to doing. And I'm sure that there's amazing benefits that came from that. But she's not surprised that that happened in the moment of anger, and being consciously letting the anger out. It wasn't like it was just like blindsided. Like she knew what she was purposely letting anger out in what she felt was a,
Yep.
a healthy way. We just have to still
Yep.
know that whatever comes from that, because I've done the same thing. I've kicked things before, and like, dang, now I can't walk properly for a few days because my toe is like throbbing like I'm on the Flintstones or
Yeah.
something. So it just is what it is. But I want to
Yeah.
I want to flip it also for everybody, and just know that when you notice you're feeling good though, and momentum is going there, these are the times in life where you really want to take advantage. Like if you have a phone call that you've been needing to make, whether it be to a client or to
Yep.
a family member or a friend,
Yep.
and you're in a good mood, make that call, because your energy is just going to rise. Like you witnessed, Daniel doing this and me doing this. When we're in conversation and our intention is to impact and uplift the audience, and we're just enjoying flowing this energy with each other, like the energy can just rise and rise and rise, to where in those moments you don't have to think about, am I saying the right thing or am I doing the right thing? You're good. Like you're connected with all it is: God, love, universe, force, energy, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And your thoughts, your words, your actions are all going to be a match to that. And momentum can take you up to where, damn, you're like, this is exhilarating. I'm having the time of my life right now. And you're just like, you're magnetic. Like enjoy life in those moments, like as much as humanly possible,
Exactly.
because that's what, at the end of the day, when we all love those moments too. So it can happen both ways. So I like to highlight, because I'm big on momentum and just being aware of it, and just knowing, which direction am I going. If I'm going in a direction that I don't want it to go, just catching it, not making myself wrong for it, because you can't make yourself wrong for it and, let the momentum stop and move in the other direction at the same time. So we want to blame ourselves, or, blame someone else because you made me feel this way, which is just,
Exactly.
so yeah, you inspired all that
Well, I
stuff.
mean, yeah. Let's speak to that, because I feel like we've definitely been talking about the personal ownership of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But what is it? What about when it comes to other people? Because we all are surrounded by other folks, family, friends, strangers, loved ones, our managers, bosses, co-workers. We're surrounded by people all day long. And so there is something to be said about um, associating how we feel to someone else. And that in and of itself I feel like a common mistake that we make as humans, where in which we give our power away. And I'll break that down even more, because if there's something that I'm experiencing and I associate it with something external to me, um, we all know that the external world will always shift and always change. And the more that we associate how we feel to the external, leaves us more and more and more to a deficit, because once we start to associate it with the external, then the natural feedback loop, because we're creators, is that the external will then reflect even more of that. And the external, as we associate it with that new thing, then the external will say, oh, you want more? Okay, cool, let me give you more. Because where our attention goes, our energy flows, and where our energy flows, our attention goes. And so, what's that feedback loop if we associate? how we're feeling to the external. The feedback is that the external gives us more and more of what we're pointing at. It gives us more and more blame, or who we're blaming it on. So if I blame that person for how I feel, then I'm basically telling the universe, hey, give me more of that person, because where my attention, where my awareness is going is outside of me, and it's saying that. That's all that the universe really hears. It's like that. It doesn't understand our word. It understands our intention and attention. It understands where our focus and awareness is going. So when I say that person, right, and I have a strong sense of feeling, then the universe, or consciousness is like, okay, give them more, you know. And so the what we're really saying is, to be a sovereign, a self-contained whole being means that how I'm feeling about that thing has everything to do with me. That has everything to do with my thoughts, my patterns, my awareness, my addictions, my focus, my experiences, my childhood. Right, I am the owner of that, and that may even to some people feel overwhelming, because it's like, gosh, like why can't it just be, that person's fault? Why can't it just be? Why can't that person take the blame, just this one time? Because, in there's a part of us, our ego is like, that feels better, if I just blame that person than if I hold that thought or that feeling, for myself. But what we don't get to take advantage of is the lesson that we're trying to teach ourselves. If we continue to give it to the other person and say, this is your lesson, then eventually we will continue to experience a similar thing until we understand what it's pointing at, within us. And once we know what it's pointing at within us, then we can do some self-correcting. But until that, if we make it external, we'll never quite take ownership and be able to, self-correct and adjust and balance ourselves out to be as whole as we are. We'll always be partial to, right? Partial to that thing that's outside of us. And I want to be whole to everything that's outside of us, knowing that everything outside of me is actually happening inside. So everything external, I deal with internally. I don't attack the world. I don't, spend a lot of time and energy pushing against to what's on the screen. It'd be like watching Netflix and, experiencing something that's emotional on the screen and then throwing a rock at the TV.
For sure.
Like, oh, the characters in a movie. Well, guess who's a character, and guess where your movie is at? This is your movie, right? This you're watching your movie unfold every single day. So you can't just go around, killing off the characters, because then you lose points. We all know how that works in video games. Well, video games actually teach the other thing. It's like the more people you kill, the more points you get. Not good. It's not a good thing. So in this game, this game of love that we're playing, in this game of, I feel like this is a game of love, a game of leadership, a game of expression, a game of sharing who and what we are, and continuing to develop who and what we are. It's all an internal thing. It's all an internal. It's an inside job, as we can even call it. Yeah, that's how I choose to win the game. I can't win by making it an external thing. Trying to kill off my actors. So,
they have laws against killing off your opponents in the real world. So yeah, don't do that. It's called loss of freedom. But you inspired me to say a couple things just now, and I'm so happy that you just shared that, because for everybody out there listening, if we just want to be real about it, the common denominator of every experience that we've ever had in life, whether it's something that we really loved or something we didn't love so much, common denominator is that you were there. You were a part of it. You were a co-creator in it. And so, and I love how you, because I describe life as a movie, and we're all the stars of our own movie, and we get to co-star with other humans when we choose, and choose the location of the movie, and we can change any of that when we're ready to change any of that. But you can get to the point, even starting right now, and this is how I choose to look at my co-creations, and I don't even have to be personally involved in. For instance, a few months back, I was rushing around. I was coming back from, or I was trying to get to the gym by a certain time, and I would just rush. And I wasn't in the frequency that I like to be in when I go out in the world. It was just trying to get a bunch of stuff done, and I was not present as I like to be. So what got me back to just being aware, because the universe will give us indicators of our vibration all around us if we're ready to see them. And so I witnessed an argument, between two people that one person was rolling a stroller with their kids, and then a car rolls up and has to brake all of a sudden and like honks on their horn, and there's like a baby in a stroller right there, and this mom goes nuts. She's like, "You don't have to be honking your horn like that." And I'm like, "Whoa, this just went from 0 to 100 quick." And I'm like, so I immediately I'm sending out a silent blessing to both of them, like this is going to calm. It's not going to escalate. This is going to calm down. And it immediately gave me an indication of where my frequency was, because I don't even witness dramatic events unless I'm in a place of witnessing dramatic events, which is a match to the frequency that I was in, which was rushing and hurrying, and just I wasn't at ease. That same event could go on in the world, and if you're high vibe, something will tell you just to turn right here, or to stop and be like, wow, look at the trees, look at the moon today, it's so beautiful. Like, you'll be doing that, and then that dramatic event will go on, and then you'll still go the same direction, but you just won't see it, you'll miss it. And so that has just been an indicator for me, to where I could just be aware of what's my frequency right now. And when we get to that point where we're not, like Daniel's just saying, like we're not putting any power on the external, as far as what we're blaming that for how we feel, versus knowing that what's the internal things that we're, the only thing we can control is what's our vibration, what's our frequency right now. And so knowing that that's going to reflect these co-creations that we have, well, we can be at that point, which we can all choose to be there at any time. It gives us all of our power, because now it's just, you don't like what you're seeing on your movie screen, let's just observe how we've been being in the moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. And then if we want to change it, we can. If we don't want to change it, it's all good. Nobody's making you right or wrong for it. You can keep having the movie screen exactly how you want. You're the producer, you're the director of it. You control the cast and the crew, and you're the audience. So if you're not clapping for the movie screen right now, that's your movie called your life. You get to change it, which is a beautiful thing about being creators.
Exactly. I love the language, and that's often the language I love to use, because we can all relate to things that we've seen in certain scenes on movie screens, television, and even things we've listened to. But there's something about when we watch things that can give us the idea that we're watching something real, which is kind of the point. If you think about it, with a movie or a television show, they're creating it in a way where it actually draws your attention in enough that you actually feel like you're having the same experiences as the characters. And so, personally, I don't watch as much TV as, let's say, I did when I was younger, or I was sitting in front of cartoons all the time when I was a certain age. And now, if I do watch a show, I watch it not from inside the show. I actually remove myself and watch it not with just my two eyes, but with my whole perceptual being. Right. So it's kind of like, remember, we've all been in classes and in school, and you would watch those movies, and you would read those books, and you'd have to write papers about them, right? Because you're not watching it as like entertainment. You're actually watching it from an introspective place, from a place of understanding what's happening. And so when we watch Netflix, we watch Hulu, we watch Amazon Prime, we watch these different shows, watch the news, we're watching it literally from a place of, whether we know it or not, from a place of entertainment. We're not watching it necessarily from a place of understanding. And we know that because those things often affect us energetically and emotionally, right? Which means that I've allowed myself, right, to be inflicted and then potentially conflicted with what it is that I'm taking in, right? I'm going to subject myself or be a subject in it of the thing that I'm watching and perceiving. And if we take that, right, and we take that metaphor and we apply it to our lives, that's often how we also live our lives. We make ourselves subject to the things that are happening around us. We've taken the situations and we've allowed it to control how our thoughts and how our feelings emerged in that moment. But we learn that oftentimes from television, from things like television, because we all know television programming, and it's something to watch, and something to observe, but we're really not observing ourselves when we're doing that. Oftentimes, we're not observing ourselves living in the real world. We're observing everything except ourselves. So it's important to know one how we got to that place, and it's probably just due to us living in a culture where the black mirror, as they call it, the thing that we the technology has um, played a role in our perception of our actual lives. And so when I'm living in the quote unquote real world, I'm not, watching television. I, in some ways, move to a state of observation so that I can fully understand what it is that's happening around me and what's happening inside of me. The other side of that coin is if I'm subject to, then I'm in it, right? I'm the character in the thing, and everything's happening to me as a character. And I've made myself the smaller version of myself, and then I've forgotten about that there's this higher self, this higher state of being, this God self that is actually projecting me down into those moments. So I want to actually perceive things through this higher mind, this higher state of consciousness, and have the awareness in the broad perspective that allows me to see how, why, when, about the things that are unfolding in my scene, in my personal movie.
I love how you just described that. That's so beautiful, and I love how you ended that right there because I find it so valuable. The questions that we're wanting to live life, like Daniel was just describing, if that's a desire for any of us, we can do so easily by asking the questions that Daniel just asked, like, and not needing to know the answer right then, right now. They might come right then and right now, especially if we're in a place where we can receive that answer right here, right now. But when we're asking the questions of, how, can this work for me, or why is this happening, or what do I need to see here, what's going on? Like anytime I have any type of challenges happen in life, whether it be something that I thought was going to happen, an experience that I thought was going to happen, and all of a sudden it's not anymore for whatever reason. I always ask, like, what is it that I need to see here, or what else is there happening behind the scenes that I don't even know that is happening behind the scenes yet, that is going to propel me in the direction that I want to go. And it for me, it's more like now life, from that higher consciousness, from that place, is just an adventure because I'm not in control of the synchronicities, nor do I want to be. Life would be very boring if we just, we knew the whole plot to the whole movie, and everything was already worked out, and there was no free will, there was no, contrast, there's no challenges to where now we could be really excited about going in the opposite direction. If there was none of that, life would be so boring. So to be able to embrace that and to be able to ask those powerful questions that Daniel just asked, we can know that the answers will always come when we're ready to hear them and ready to see them. When they won't likely come is when we're in our smaller selves, like you described that, in the actual, if you're literally watching something and you're in, we all know that like the news and things, not, well, I won't say we all, but a lot of us know that like watching things like the news and like putting ourselves in it can really cause a lot of that stirring of emotion on the inside. But it could be anything. But I love how you put that as far as being able to ask those powerful questions and the answers always come. That's probably one of my favorite parts of life, knowing that any powerful question that I ask the universe, I just get to be excited and receive the answer whenever it's ready to find me. And it always comes, and it could be in so many different ways. And I like even seeing
Yeah.
the different ways that it can come, as far as
Yeah.
that goes. So we've been
Yeah.
we've been flowing for a while, Daniel. I have one more thing that I'm inspired to share that you off of what we were sharing earlier when it comes to energy that I know will help the audience. And then I just
Sure.
want to ask you, what you're excited about here in 2020 as we're recording this right at the beginning of 2020. Well, the last thing I want to share with I say the last thing until Daniel says something else that inspires me. But I'll keep him here all
We
day.
can also before we tone down too much is like check to see if we have any questions on any
Yeah,
of the
100%.
platforms and like that.
100%. If you guys have questions, put them there now. We're gonna check those here. But I just want to share this with you guys in the audience because we were talking about how it could be easy to look at the external, or I like how Daniel mentioned examples of like coworkers or bosses or managers or family and friends or anybody that we're co-creating with in the moment, and easy to look at how they're being and be wanting to put partial blame or full blame, if you want to go that route, also on how they're being as far as why I'm feeling this way or why life is going this way. You didn't give your full effort to this project, so now we haven't, been able to create what we wanted as a team. Get your stuff together. All those things that we like to do as human beings. One of the things that gives me a lot of peace and that I'm excited to know, and just I love sharing with people, is when it comes to energy, because all that we can control is what vibe we have right now in the moment. And knowing, say I just choose to today, maybe I start up in the morning, and which is part of my practice, maybe I get up and I meditate, and I just decide my meditation normally is only like 15, 20 minutes, but it doesn't end until I'm at least at peace and content. Like when I can feel that, then that's when I'm ready to start my day. Sometimes I could feel even more, I could feel blissful, for meditation. I'm not requiring myself to get all the way there for me to stop. But if I feel peace and content, then I know it's time to start the day, and I'm excited to start the day from there. But say that was what you did, and then you went to that job where those coworkers or that boss or that manager is, and you are at that energy of peace and content or happy or whatever you want to call it. Regardless of where they are, most likely they're going to show themselves to you either in a place that is already a match to where you are, happiness, joyful. I mean, if you in the lower frequencies, frustrated, anxious, worried, then you'll probably play with them in that frequency because that's part of your practice relationship. It sounds like already, if you're already blaming and pointing out what they're doing, but you have more power than that. You have more control of that, because say you choose tomorrow or today or whenever to go to that job or go towards that family member or wherever, and you are in peace and content or happy or wherever you want to call it, they're either going to join you and play with you there because you're going to pull them to where you are. We're not going to allow this to happen. You could go join them and be like, see, I was in a good mood before I got here, and you always come in here and you're dimming my light, and now look, so you could go that route too, but we're not going to go there. Or they're not going to want to be around you. You're not going to want to be really around them because, maybe they're frustrated and worried. You're happy and joyful, and you guys will reconvene when you guys are ready to play with each other somewhere. Could be still because you decide to hold your vibration in happy or joyful or peace, and they'll find you when they're ready. But they know that that's where you are because that's where you've decided that you want yourself to be. So that gives me so much peace because I know the only thing I have to think about is, Noel, where would you like to be? And then the people that want to come play with me on these conversations when I'm out in the world, they just come play with me there. And when they're not ready to come play, I'll still send them a blessing, and I'll be here whenever you need me. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So that
you want to check for
questions.
Any questions? See what we got.
Let's do it.
We have anything?
Let's do it.
I can.
I could check. If you don't want to get off that, I could check yours too. But yeah, I could.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Cassandra, we love you too. Cassandra Shewitt on your page. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Let's see. I'm gonna check 3 or 4 different platforms right now.
Yeah, we got the video going out to like 3 or 4 places, so you never know.
I don't know who's on.
I don't know.
People are going to get used to me going live a lot. I've surprised some people because I hadn't gone live in forever on any of the
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy that you invited me into the podcast because this is something I want to do more of, getting on the screen and really letting people see and sense the energy,
Mm-hmm.
because we transfer so much just in our uh, beingness and in our words and the tonality and uh, in our thoughts and even the vibration of our voices. It goes beyond the words that we're speaking, uh, but it really is about the vibration that we're sending across the language that it's encoded with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now this is a conversation that I was excited to have with you anyway, and I'm so grateful for technology because I mean, if who no matter how many people it impacts, knowing that it's going to impact someone, they could take one or a few things from this, and it helps them, go off and live the life the way that they want to live it. Just a reminder for all of us. Nothing that Daniel or I are sharing is anything that innately we don't already know. It's just nice reminders that are good for us to hear too. Like I like speaking them too because like what I share, I mean, with my examples is just reminders for me how I'm experiencing life and I just want to be fully aware of, and I let life show me what's going on internally. And you mentioned that many times. I didn't
Yep.
see questions on. Let me go to my. Did I go to my Facebook? Oh, one more place. Oh, here's a question. How do we know each other? Hi, Cheryl. Um, I didn't recognize you. You switched your last name. Congratulations. Just got married. We met on a Abraham Hicks cruise out in. No, I'm looking at the phone like I'm talking directly to you. I was talking to
No, no.
the. We met on a cruise, an Abraham cruise, and I'm curious for you, Daniel, on this cruise because for me, I was having so much fun in the events and flowing energy with you guys and with Abraham on stage. Like that vibe felt so good, even though we were in some of the most beautiful places in the world. Like I just wanted to just
Man,
experience more like event and like just hang out with you guys, in that because it was just everybody was just, and it didn't have to be in the actual meeting room. I mean, we could have all taken that out to the beach or wherever, which we did a few times.
right.
But I just wanted to be around the energy. That was my favorite part of it all. Abraham and
Exactly.
everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I mean, just like Abe says, like we that event or that experience was already done. We just dragged our physical bodies there. So that co-creation has already culminated into what it is, and we were just having the experience of it. We're just there to witness what we already agreed to. If you think about it, when a person, if we even like experience it like this, it's like when you book your plane ticket, most people that are gonna go have already in their own minds and their own awareness projected out what sort of experience they're gonna have. Right? They're already like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to see so and so, or I think it's gonna be amazing, or I don't know what it's gonna be like, but I'm excited about it. Right? So all of that thought, all those thought forms are already working in our favor. They're already the managers of the experience that we're eventually going to step into. Those are the directors, right? Those are the producers of the movie that we eventually live out. Those are the script writers that eventually write the script for us when we meet the person, and all of a sudden, something comes out of our mouths that we've never said before. You know, those predecessing moments of excitement, of looking forward to, of gratitude, appreciation of what's to come, are those invisible mechanisms that allow for the future moment to be in complete perfection. And when we do that, we're not necessarily like saying, oh, like it has to be that way, right? Because we know that, like you were mentioning, momentum is already gathering itself to do that for us. So we really, um, you know, use or can use the least amount of effort through excitement, through looking forward to, through appreciation, through gratitude, through these, through forgiveness practices, letting go of things that we're holding on to. We can through those subtleties we can really archetype and build the scenes that we want to live out with a lot of perfection. The perfection comes just through the nature of the universe designing and placing those things, putting those things into motion. And we can't do that with our, physical, with physical beings. I can't build the stage. I can't build the hotel. I can't, put the people in a position for me to meet them. All those things are happening because of how I'm archetyping from my place of intention and from my place of emoting or putting off that energy. They're carefully designing all that stuff is carefully designing the things that I eventually will experience. So it's good to know again those subtleties because those are the things that you're designing your next scene with. And so if you want to, and it's not to say that, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this like negative emotion. I'm feeling this, this subtle thing that doesn't feel good. Am I designing the thing that, no, because then it becomes about momentum, right? So as long as we're aware of those things and we can slow it down and again arrive at that still place, then we're not placing any energy or any momentum on either side. And at the same time, we're asking for highest and best, right? If I don't know what it's going to be like, so I'm going to ask for highest and best from a place of not knowing. Highest and best. Imagine how that feels like. Highest and best from a place of stillness. Like it's going to be beyond what I can even fathom with my own mind. So that's probably the last little jewel that I'll drop. I was feeling that from something that you said.
I like that. I like how you just shared that. And I, if I can remember back to that event, I believe that because I'm always, I'm always ready to receive whatever I'm ready to receive, and I knew I'd meet cool people and all those things. I knew there was something there for me to become aware of that up until that point. I hadn't yet become aware of, and I like to approach life that way. That's why I'm so open to just random YouTube videos and things, and not that it's teaching me anything that I don't already innately know, but it's just reminding me and it's just putting it into my consciousness so that I could actually use it in my moment by moment, day by day life. I think if I experienced, and I know, like as of today, if I was going to that event today, I would experience it a little bit different. And the way I experience life now seems to be much simpler. And I just ask myself, how much fun can I have in the moment at this at this event? If I'm having a conversation, how much fun can this conversation be? If I'm walking on the deck of this ship, how much fun can I have just looking at nature and what's around me? And if I'm in the event room, how much fun can that be? How playful can I be? And that's, I went to a spiritual event over the weekend that I was invited to, just synchronistically. And I just ask myself when I'm invited to anything these days, is it an energetic pull at all to experience whatever that experience is? And if there's any pull, then I just go do it. And if there's not really a pull, if there's more of a pull to just chill and relax or whatever else I may have going on, then I do that. Like there's not a lot of like struggling back and forth. Like, is this person going to be disappointed if I don't go? That's not a part of my reality anymore. But since I chose to go, and anything that we choose to do out there, if you're choosing it, we're all free. If you're watching this podcast, you have, freedom of internet and, all of these things. So if we're choosing to do anything, maybe try this at some point. It could be fun to experience. Just ask yourself before you go do that, how much fun can this experience be? And just don't put any expectations on people there or yourself or anything else. Other than that, just if you're just going to the grocery store, how much fun could the trip to the grocery store be? Maybe I'll discover something that I didn't even know was on the shelf. It wasn't there last time. That this time, I'm like, I'm interested to try that. Or maybe you might meet somebody, or who knows. So that's how I know I would experience it now. But this has been a beautiful conversation, brother.
I love that shift. I love that shift, and I feel like that's a shift to curiosity. Mm-hmm. And curiosity, I feel, is one of the most powerful things we can lead with right now, leading into 2020, knowing that, we will continue to experience a very, diverse reality and a divergent reality. And it's good to ask those simple questions and just be curious about, how fun things are going to be, knowing that just that thought, just that question is guiding you to that fun place. And that's a beautiful, that's gold right there. Yeah. That's gold right there. Thank you.
Simple gold.
Simple game.
That's very well.
No, with the block of gold. No gold coin. It's just like just a whole brick of gold. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Last chance on the questions. I'm gonna look one more time, and then I'm gonna let Daniel finish enjoying his day because I know he's got a full day going. I appreciate you taking the time to share
Course,
this
of
love and
course.
light with all of
I
us.
wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it.
All right, I think we're good. You guys have questions? If you're watching this on the replay, just put them in the comments, and I'll tag. If it's
Yes,
for
right
Daniel,
away.
I'll tag Daniel. If, make sure he sees it and all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you, brother, for coming on and sharing. This has
Well,
been a lot of fun, and we'll have a part two at some point, whether it be in person or another online version, because we're always evolving, and
definitely.
that's it's another thing out there that everybody could be excited about is the version of you as you are right here, right now, is already whole and complete, and at the same time, we are aware of the things and conscious of the things we are because of all the life experiences leading up to today. So my best advice is leave and you said this earlier, we don't have to really dwell or spend much time in our memories. And here's a big reason why. Because if you're remembering something that was really joyful and it's got your energy feeling on point right now, great. Use memories to make us feel good. But if you notice yourself remembering something that is causing you to feel really, really heavy energy, the clarity has already served you. That experience has already served you because of the clarity, because of what you've learned from the experience. So to bring that baggage, I did a video about this going into the new year. To bring any baggage with us into 2020, it's a personal choice. You're not right or wrong for doing it. It's not necessary though. It's already served you from the clarity that you've received from it. So if we just choose to leave it there forever, and never go back to it, we could still take the lessons and the now momentum that we have, the excitement that we have to go in the other direction with us. And that's really what the experience was for in the first place. So um,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
my best advice and desire for anybody out there is just to enjoy the present moment. Be aware of where you are. Don't make yourself right or wrong for it. We're all whole and complete, and enjoy life. The only moment that's
Yeah.
promised.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say if I left people with anything, is it's to be who you are today. Be who you are today. There's no reason to. There's no better time than right now to be exactly who you are. So if you know, and we all know, if we're hiding or if we're not saying the things that we're inspired to do, then in some ways we're not being true to ourselves. We're not being our whole selves. And so 2020 is the time to allow your truest self, your deepest self, maybe the parts of you that you've never shared, maybe the parts that have been there and you've always known about are just like waiting to surface. This is the year. This is the year for that to come forth. Wait no longer, wait no more. And you're surrounded, trust me, you're surrounded by physical and non-physical energy that is supporting you to step into that. So for those who may still be having trouble, reach out to me, reach out to Noel, send us a PM or something like that, and I'm happy that I love holding space for people that are ready to step into themselves because I'm always what does that say? Always ready to be ready. So I have to stay ready to be ready to step into myself all the time. I'm doing it all the time. It's a never ending journey. I'm always an unfolding creation that of something that I didn't know before. So I leave with a lot of curiosity, and I'm open to who and what I am. Oftentimes, I say I don't know what I am. I don't know who I am. So that the highest and best may emerge as me.
Mm, wow, that's powerful right there. I love that so much, and I'm so happy that you just encouraged everybody to step into their authentic them here in 2020 and beyond. That's so important
Yeah.
because every single one of you out there listening, nobody has had your life experience, so it's so valuable for you to share that, knowing that the non-physical energy called God, universe, love, all that is flowing to and through, and is who all of us truly are. But to flow that through your life experience, that nobody has had, to where we get to like see the things that you become aware of and conscious of through that life experience that we haven't got to see or become aware of because we haven't had that experience. And we get to see it through that same energy that connects us all, to where we can feel it when you're sharing it. So valuable for you. It'll feel good for you sharing it. It'll give you a lot of peace, a lot of joy, a lot of, moving you in the direction of the things that you want to be doing, have while you're here. And at the same time, what we talked about throughout this episode, you can give someone else clarity and inspiration and so many things by sharing it. So that right there, I love that you shared that. That's definitely, definitely, definitely. I encourage everybody to do what Daniel just said, because it's so important for us and for humanity.
Yeah.
Love it, brother.
Awesome.
Love
Much
it, brother.
love, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining us. Thank you for witnessing this unfolding, this conversation, and us two brothers build. I feel like I'm a toot our own horn. I feel like you specifically a solid example of just a beautiful masculine energy, and a space holder, and somebody who can carry with them the potentiality of those around you. So I appreciate you, brother, for inviting me on the call and allowing me to express myself. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you saying that, and you already know this. What you see in me is simply reflecting from you. So I appreciate you saying that. We're just reflecting each other in this beautiful episode, and I knew that was going to be the case. I was very excited to flow with you on this, and you guys definitely share this episode. It will benefit people for sure, and you'll feel good knowing that you've impacted someone. And just as simple as these days in social media, just hitting the little share button, one click, and you could change someone's life for the better. And I love that about all this technology that we have. So definitely share this, and appreciate you guys for tuning into another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Rate and review, subscribe, make it easier for people to find these beautiful episodes, and we'll keep bringing on awesome humans like Daniel to share love and light with you all, and sending positive vibes to everybody out there. Happy New Year. I'm gonna say it all year. I've decided there's no ending point for that. I can't decide when to stop saying it, so I'm just gonna keep saying it forever, I guess. Absolutely. Well, we'll talk to you guys later on.
Much love.
I'm gonna stop the stream, Daniel, and I'm gonna say later to you officially. Hold on, I'm gonna stop the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in live. If you guys have questions, post them, and we'll answer them at some point here in the near future. Sending positive vibes to you guys all.